Hi everyone. Today's topic is the uterus. We have completed the abdominal viscera, and in the perineum we have seen the ischioanal fossa. So we have started with the pelvic viscera. So if you have not seen the abdominal viscera videos, try to watch in the order, then complete the perineum, then start with the pelvic viscera. That will be easy for you to prepare for the exams. Uterus is pear shaped, inverted pear shaped, thick walled muscular organ. So we have to begin with the situation. It is situated obliquely in the lesser pelvis, between the urinary bladder below and in front, and the rectum and the sigmoid colon above and behind. You can see in the image, in front is urinary bladder and below, rectum is above and behind. Measurements. It is the measurement of the nulliparous uterus. Nulliparous means those who have not given birth to child. Total length is 7.5 centimeter. If you take the length of the fundus and body 5 centimeter, thickness is 3 centimeter. These are in the, as we told, in the non-pregnant state or nulliparous state. The body is 2 times longer than the cervix in the adults, whereas the cervix is longer than the body in the children. Uterus has axis. Normally it lies in the anteversion and anteflexion. What is anteversion? Angle between the cervix and the vagina. You can see in that picture. So you should take the angle between the cervix and the vagina. That is the anteversion. It measures about 90 degrees, so that both are at right angles, provided the urinary bladder and rectum are empty. So this anteversion corresponds with the axis of the pelvic inlet. In this anteversion, the uterus corresponds with the axis of the pelvic inlet, vagina corresponds with the axis of the pelvic outlet. So when the two axes meet, the forward angle of the anteversion is formed. Version means the relation of the uterus with the vagina around a transverse axis. This passes through the external os of the cervix. How this anteversion is maintained? So that is maintained by one forward pull by one ligament and by the backward pull by the another ligament. So what is this forward pull of the uterine fundus? If you see it is giving attachment to the round ligaments. So it pulls the uterus front. Backward pull on the cervix by the traction of the uterosacral ligaments. So this maintenance of the anteversion is an important requisite for the support of the uterus. Why? You just think the uterus becomes retroverted, comes in line with the axis of the vagina. So what may happen? The bulky uterus may descend through the vagina, producing prolapse of the uterus. So it is bent at right angles. So that is the anteversion. You should know why it is important. You should see in the another image above, slightly it is retroverted also. So retroverted, how it comes in line with the vagina, you can understand. Anteflexion, next, it is the angle between the body and the cervix, measuring about 125 degrees. Again, provided bladder and rectum are empty. So otherwise it is the junction of the upper mobile part of the uterus and lower flexed part of the uterus. So this flexion of the uterus, this is called flexion of the uterus. That is version, this is flexion. Flexion of the uterus takes place around a transverse axis passing through the internal os. Okay, so this is anteflexion and we have completed anteversion. Uterus subdivisions. So this is the next heading. Fundus, body, cervix. What is fundus? You see the portion above the uterine tubes. That portion is called fundus. It is not covered with peritoneum and it has no uterine cavity. So that is the fundus. So see again, fundus above the uterine tubes. Then see the next, isthmus is a circular borderline area between the body and the cervix. So this cervix, if you see, it has two parts, supravaginal and vaginal. You see a part is inside the vagina and a part is above the vagina. So that is supravaginal and vaginal part. Supravaginal part of the cervix will also be called as lower uterine segment. You should have here LSCS, that is lower segment caesarean section, commonly heard in the families by the obstetricians telling that your daughter may have to undergo LSCS. LSCS means lower segment. What is lower segment? Is this supravaginal portion of the cervix. So in that only we are doing the LSCS in that region. Vaginal part is surrounded by the fornices. So surrounding the cervix, that vaginal part is called fornices. Now we will see the body extends from the fundus to the isthmus. It is flattened anteroposteriorly. It has two surfaces, anterior or vesical surface, posterior or intestinal surface, two lateral borders, two lateral angles, and this body contains the uterine cavity. See, which is the anterior surface related in front to the urinary bladder. So this surface is called vesical surface. This is covered by the peritoneum. From the superior surface of the bladder, the peritoneum is reflected, you see. It is reflected to the supravaginal portion of the cervix, then to the body of the uterus. So the gap between these two which are using, that is the utrovesical pouch. Then this peritoneum covers the body and the fundus. Posterior or intestinal surface. This peritoneum covers the posterior surface, body and the supravaginal portion of the cervix, and then up to the upper third of the posterior surface of the vagina. So posteriorly it is reflected up to the upper third of vagina, and the gap between the pouch between the posterior surface of the uterus and the anterior part of the rectum is called rectouterine pouch. It is related to sigmoid colon and the coils of small intestine. Now you can see the lateral borders. So the lateral borders give attachment to broad ligaments on lateral parts, but they are removed in this image to show you the lateral borders of the body of the uterus. So are you seeing the lateral borders of the body of the uterus, which will give attachment to the broad ligament of the uterus? And you can see, if you remove this broad ligament, you are seeing the tortuous uterine vessels. Then two lateral angles, you see in the upper part, two lateral angles, all are called as cornua of the uterus, project from the junction of fundus and body. So that is the junction of upper fundus and the body of the uterus. So this uterus is visualized from above now. Can you see this bladder, uterus? So uterus, you see the lateral angles. 3 structures are attached to the lateral angles. Uterine tube, or you seeing the uterine tube in the middle, and it is the uppermost structure piercing the musculature of the uterus. Then in front, proximal part of the round ligament of the uterus. So that is the in front. That is in front and below. Ligament of the ovary will be below and behind. So 3 structures you can see. On the right side image you try to see, it is labeled tube in the middle, and in below and in front is round ligament of the uterus. Below and behind is the ligament of the ovary. Now we have finished the body of the uterus. Now cervix of the uterus. Part of the uterus below the level of the internal or isthmus will be called as cervix. It is the more fixed and more cylindrical part than the body of the uterus. So it is called in front isthmus and behind is torus utrinus. That is behind by a transverse ridge, marked by a transverse ridge, that is called torus utrinus. If you see the cervix downwards and backwards from the isthmus, it is protruding through the anterior vaginal wall. It is nicely shown in the image. So that the posterior vaginal wall will be always lengthier than the anterior vaginal wall. So when the cervix protrudes into the vagina, we have 2 parts of the vagina. We have 2 parts of the cervix, supravaginal and the vaginal part. So above the vagina, that part of the cervix is supravaginal. Below it is called vaginal part. Again in this you are seeing the supravaginal part surfaces. Same like the body of the uterus it will have. Supravaginal part in front, again it is related to the base of the bladder and it is non-peritoneal. Behind it is covered with the peritoneum of the rectouterine pouch. So you try to observe this pouch in between the uterus and the rectum. It is called rectouterine pouch or pouch of Douglas, and it is the most dependent part of the pelvic cavity in the moving position, and it is related to sigmoid colon and small intestine. So we have covered the supravaginal part. So on each side it is related to, so supravaginal part you try to observe. In front is the bladder and behind the structure is the uterus. We are seeing the supravaginal part on each side. Ureter lies about 2 cm lateral to the cervix. So this is the most clinical important point when you are doing removal of the uterus, hysterectomy surgeries. So you should be careful of the ureter lying just 2 cm lateral to the cervix. Uterine artery crosses above and in front of the ureter from lateral to medial side. So you are using uterine artery also. You have to ligate the uterine artery to remove the uterus. But how it is closely related to the ureter, you should try to understand the anatomy before surgery. Then on each side of the supravaginal part of the cervix, one ligament is attached, Mackenrott's ligament, and also lower margin of the broad ligament. Sometimes a paracervical lymph node is situated at the junction of the ureter and the uterine artery. So these nodes may be enlarged in carcinoma of the cervix, producing symptoms of ureteric obstruction. So between the artery and ureter, you may expect a lymph node. That lymph node is called paracervical lymph node. You see the vaginal part of the cervix. It is conical in shape. its blunt tip rests on the posterior vaginal wall. The cervix is protruding through the anterior vaginal wall. So it is resting on the posterior vaginal wall. The tip presents a depression for external os. So internal os is the junction of the body and the cervix. External os is now seen in this, through which the cervical canal communicates with the vagina. External os is circular in the newborn, but in the adults, after births of the children, it will be presenting a transverse slit bounded by anterior lip and posterior lip. So as it is protruding into the vagina, surrounded by a circular gutter of vaginal canal, which will be called as 4 fornices, anterior, posterior and 2 lateral. The deepest fornix is the posterior and it is peritoneal. Anterior is non-peritoneal. Lateral fornices are related to same. That is the lateral relation of the supravaginal part of cervix, crossing of ureter and uterine artery. Uterine cavity and cervical canal. You can see in the image. Uterine cavity is triangular on cross section. So as we told, fundus does not contain the uterine cavity. If you see the cervical canal, it is fusiform on coronal section. Communicates above with the uterine cavity through the internal os, below into the vagina through the external os. Arterial supply of the uterus, uterine arteries and the ovary, uterine arteries and mainly by the uterine arteries, partly by the ovarian arteries. Uterine arteries are the branches of anterior division of internal iliac and tortuous particularly during the pregnancy. And ovarian arteries are the direct branches of the abdominal aorta. They both anastomose within the broad ligaments close to the lateral angles of the uterus. You can see here. Now supply parasympathetic S2 S3. That is causing the pain from the cervix during childbirth. So typically pain in the sacral segments of the, typically related to the skin over the sacral segments of the bone. Pain from the body via the sympathetic into T11 and T12. Lymphatics. So the main lymph nodes which drain the body of the uterus will be following the iliac arteries. So iliac nodes, internal iliac and external iliac nodes. Along the cervix will be the paracervical nodes and fundus into the sacral nodes and also to the pre-aortic and the para-aortic nodes. Ligaments of the uterus, we should write under the 2 headings, true ligaments and the false ligaments. True ligaments are pubocervical, we will see pubocervical, round ligaments and transverse ligaments of the uterus. So first we will see the pubocervical. The name itself tells to the pubis to the cervix. So it is in the front, anteriorly attached to the posterior part of the body of the pubis along the surfaces of the urinary bladder to the cervix. So from the pubic symphysis it has to pass through the bladder to reach the cervix, this ligament. So that is the pubocervical. Round ligament is attached, now only we saw in the angles of the uterus, it is attached to between the junction between the body and the fundus. From there where it is attached, it passes through the inguinal canal to the labia majora. So it is the main ligament which causes the anteversion of the uterus. So you can see again in this Attached to the angle, you see the image, round ligament passing through the inguinal canal. Transverse ligaments of the cervix, it will be called as, otherwise called as McIntyre's ligament. This is the cardinal ligament of the uterus. If you are asked which ligament is the important support for the uterus, you should not tell the false ligaments, only you should tell this McIntyre's ligaments. You can see from lateral to medial, it is passing from the cervicovaginal junction to the fascia covering the levator ani. So one ligament is front is pubocervical, one ligament behind is uterosacral, on each side is transverse cervical, and another true ligament attached to the angle is the round ligament of the uterus. Uterosacral ligament attached from the cervix to the middle of the sacrum, so it contains lymphatics draining the cervix to the sacrum. So this ligament pulls the cervix backwards. False ligaments of the uterus, a pair of uterovesical folds called anterior false ligament, a pair of rectovaginal folds, posterior false ligament, a pair of rectouterine folds, that is the lateral boundary of the pouch of the Douglas, and the important false ligament is the broad ligaments. So this broad ligaments contain so many structures and so many parts. So this broad ligaments may be separately asked as the short notes for you, but it is a false ligament. So it is a fold of peritoneum from the side of the uterus to the side wall of the pelvis. It is the framework of the pelvic fascia. It contains parametric fat. So this has anterior surface, but when you see in the anatomical position, it is slightly looking inferiorly. It has a free upper border. The base of the broad ligament is in the pelvic floor. Broad ligament contains so many structures, as I told: uterine tubes, vessels, that is the uterine vessels and the ovarian vessels. Ligaments are round ligament of the uterus, ligament of the ovary, transverse ligaments. It's the visceral ovary is attached to the posterior layer of this broad ligament. Ureter is in the base below the artery, and it also contains the epuphoron and the paraphron. What are they? Epuphoron and paraphron are the remnants of the mesonephric tubules and the part of the mesonephric duct. Mesonephric duct gives rise to the duct system of the male reproductive system, but it is vestigial, or its only remnants are present in the broad ligament, that is called as the duct of Gartner. So that is the tubules and duct of epuphoron. This paraphron are again the distal mesonephric tubules remnants. Epuphoron, proximal mesonephric tubules remnants. So as it will be asked as short notes, I have given more points on this. If you see the upper border of the broad ligament, uterine tube lies in the medial 4/5 and lateral 1/5 contains the ovarian vessels. And also it is having the infundibulopelvic or suspensory ligament of the ovary. Parts of the broad ligament. Mesosalpinx, it's the part of the broad ligament between the uterine tube and the ovary. Then mesometrium, it extends from the ovary and contains the ovary and its ligament to the base of the broad ligament. So it's the main part. It contains the tortuous uterine blood vessels. Then mesoovarium is a fold derived from the posterior layer of the broad ligament where the ovary is attached. Suspensory ligament of the ovary is the triangular fold which connects the ovary and the uterine tube to the pelvic brim. supports of the uterus. Actually, uterus itself supports itself by its own anteversion and its anteflexion. So that is the main support for the uterus. When the bladder and the rectum are empty, uterus lies in the anteversion and anteflexion. So in this position, the uterine body rests on the upper surface of the bladder and the tip of the cervix rests on the sloping posterior wall of the vagina, which we have seen already. But on gradual distension of the bladder, uterus becomes erect, lies in same line with the uterus, same line with the vagina. This position favors the descent of the uterus through the vagina. So descent of the uterus through the vagina will be called as prolapse, uterine prolapse. But under normal condition, the uterus does not prolapse. So what are the supports of the uterus? So structural supports are the ligaments. True ligaments you should know. Note: round ligament, transverse cervical ligament, pubocervical and uterosacral ligament. Muscles are the pelvic diaphragm and the perineal body. Viscera are the posterior wall of the vagina, anorectal flexure and upper surface of the urinary bladder. Supports of the uterus functional, if you see, acting from above, acting from below, acting from the sides. Acting from above is peritoneum. They maintain the sling action. Acting from below is pubovaginal parts of the levator ani, which constrict the vagina, posterior wall of the vagina, which supports the tip of the cervix, and the upper surface of the bladder. Acting from the sides, Meckenrod's ligament. Maintaining anteversion and anteflexion is the round ligaments, uterosacral ligaments, pubocervical ligaments maintain the normal angulation. As long as the uterus remains anteverted, the chance of prolapse is less. Loose packing material, the parametric tissue which spreads between the pelvic fascia and endopelvic fascia and fills up the dead spaces between the pelvic peritoneum and the pelvic floor. This is the important support, because if you see in very lean individuals, uterine prolapse is common, very lean. So that at that time you will understand this importance of this fibrofatty tissue as a loose packing material, which is more supportive. So we have covered the uterus topic. It's a very big topic. You have to know parts of the uterus, ligaments of the uterus, and again you have to know each and every ligament of the uterus in detail, arterial supply of the uterus. So after this, we will now conclude with the applied anatomy. Carcinoma of the cervix is common in the multiparous females. Site is mainly the external os. Why? Because this is the junction of the columnar epithelium of the cervix and stratified epithelium of the intravaginal part of the cervix. Usually wherever this epithelial junctions, that's the commonest site for the carcinoma. How to confirm is, you have to take the cervical smear. Caesarean section is lower uterine segment. Nowadays lower uterine segment only. So what is lower uterine segment is supravaginal part of the cervix. Hysterectomy is the removal of the uterus for various reasons, which you will be learning in as a whole. This uterus itself you will be learning in detail in the final year obstetrics and gynecology. So causes some congenital abnormalities of the uterus you should have learnt in the development of uterus class. Bifid uterus, because the uterus develops from the paramesonephric ducts fusion. So this fusion is not complete, that will lead to the bifid uterus or uterus with septum. Now only we have seen the support of the uterus is very important. If the support is defective, which will cause the prolapse of the uterus, then it will be again grade 1 when it descends slightly into the vagina or into the mostly into the vagina, or even if the fundus is coming out, that is the complete prolapse of the uterus, which is rare nowadays. But we have seen when we were medical students complete prolapse of the uterus lying outside the vagina, because the multiparity of the females have been reduced in the recent generations. Inversion of the uterus. What is prolapse? How it is different from the prolapse of the uterus is, prolapse of the uterus is as a whole, it should maintain the anatomy as a whole, it descends. Inversion of the uterus is turned inside. So endometrium is coming through the into the cervix and into the vagina. That is called inversion of the uterus. It's the common complication in the adherent placenta. So when trying to remove the adherent placenta, the uterine endometrium may turn inside out, so leading to the shock of the individuals. So this inversion is slightly different from the prolapse of the uterus, you should know. So we have completed the main topic of the pelvis, the uterus, which is again, as we told, it's an important viscera which we have to learn again in the obstetrics and gynecology. We have to understand the whole anatomy of the uterus in the first year. So try to see this presentation of this class also, because in so many books, so many presentations. So how to write also this presentation, as I have given, very simple. Try to follow this presentation also. The supports of the uterus may be asked as separate question for you. So we will meet with the next pelvic organ in the next class.